Well, you're looking at another one of my crazy ideas. This is a piece of maple. It's a little over 10 inches square and it's about 13/16 thick. I do have this crazy idea and I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I think today's the day we do it. So I will put a bunch of lines on here. I'm going to go over to the bandsaw and I'll start cutting. And then I got to put it all back together. That's where it's going to be questionable, but I'm going to give it a try and you're going to get to watch me. So I'm going to call this a labor of love, and by the way, today is Labor Day, so happy Labor Day to everybody. So I'll meet you over at the bandsaw and we'll start cutting this piece up. Alright, all set. You can see I've marked a series of rings on here, and I was making a little fixture to do this and I found it really hard to get the cut started. It would have just messed things up. I'll have to work on that for another one. So I'm going to freehand cut these lines. Even with freehand cutting, you can still get the pieces to fit right back to each other, except for a minor problem that I discovered later on. In case you didn't notice, there was a bonus piece of wood underneath there, so maybe you kind of have an idea what I'm attempting to do. I had them double sticky tape down like that. Alright, I'm going to get them apart and we'll see if we can glue it all together, but I've got a backup plan in case they don't go together. Alright, I think I'm set up to glue everything together, so I'm going to try to explain what I'm doing. This is the maple. This was cut right along here. And taking this out of the way, this is a piece of Paduke that was directly underneath that. So whatever this saw cut is, this should be the same. So that's going to go here. Now because we come out so far here, it doesn't fit perfect, so to take up for the saw cut, I cut some very thin, and I didn't measure it, but it's less than a 1/16, some veneers. And what I did was I steamed the piece. So this will now bend into here like so. I'll get glue on everything, we'll clamp it together. That's going to be the process. I think I'm only going to do one at a time. That way I can get them lined up. After the glue tacks up, I can get another one on. I don't have to wait till it's totally dry, but I want to give it a chance to get somewhat set. So I'll go ahead and get some glue on this piece. So I had it in mind to use the same 5-inch radius that the outside will be, because I thought the rings would look better that way, but it's just too sharp of a corner to be able to have the ends go tight. So if I do this again, I'll change the radius on those cuts where the pieces fit together. This is not real easy. I'll just say that. Everything looks flat. So I think that's it for the night. It's getting kind of late, and I got most of them have, it's like 3 more to do. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit of time and show you where I'm at, because this has been quite a complex setup, and I was just kind of concentrating on making it happen. So I had a maple board and a Paduke board, stacked them on top of each other, And I drew these radiuses and then I cut them. Now the center of this one is out here, 5 inches from there. So after I cut them, I had all these loose pieces. I had Padauk and the maple. So I took the Padauk and brought it up to this one. I put the maple on that one, glued it together. The arc is a little bit tight for bending and closing up on the ends. So I used some very thin veneer that I cut. Basically it was that size, and I found out if I steamed it long enough I could bend it. So what I know I can do is get a bowl from a board out of one of these. I decided I still want to make an attempt at cutting the rings this way. So I grabbed a piece of walnut. I had to glue that together. I didn't have one wide enough. And we're going to take that and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut the radiuses this direction now. So this 5 inch will be tangent to here, it'll be tangent to there, there, and there. Let me get set up and we'll do that, get it glued together, and at least I know I'll be able to turn this into something. So I'll be back pretty soon. Alright, here we go. I made sure the blade was still square to the table. I've got a light on here that's I can see, and I don't think it's messing up your view. So I'm going to start with the second ring, because if I leave the first ring I still have a board here to do my clamping. So I'm going to start my dust collector. I'll cut these rings and I'll try to show you all of them, but it'll probably be sped up for sure. I did give it a lot of thought whether I would even use that second blank and do what I'm doing right now, but since you already saw it, I thought, well, I'll go ahead and finish it and I'll get it all turned and finished, but I'll probably show most of the turning on the easier blank, and honestly the turning will look exactly the same on all three of these if I do all three of them. Well, there they are. I don't know how I feel about them right at the moment, but I think I'll go ahead and steam some of those strips and glue them together, and then we'll decide whether we should turn it or not. As you can see, I'm not using the veneer strips on this, and they went together probably easier than the other ones. I'm not exactly sure why, but I know that when I do my new design, I will not need the strips. Speaking of the new fixture I plan on making, it should be fairly easy to use and something that everybody can make. Now that everything is glued up, it's time to make the first one round and make ourselves a bowl. So I want to catch you up on what's going on, but I may have to do a voiceover. I just had oral surgery this morning for a tooth implant issue, so it's not easy to even move my lips. But I'm going to go ahead and make the other two round, and I'll show you some of the turning on all three of them. I'm actually ended up with 3 blanks here, and it'll look the same. The bowl from the board process will be the same, but to my surprise, when I decided to add a walnut board into it, I think this is pretty cool looking. It's sort of like what I had drawn up to do with this, and then there's that. So that looks pretty cool. Again, I'm going to get this set up, make these round, and I'll be at the lathe, and I may have to do a voiceover on a lot of this stuff because it's kind of tender to talk. So I'll see you when we get to that point. And I did show you cutting that. Cutting these other two will be exactly the same. Alright, it's time to cut some rings. And I have 3 blanks now. And what I think I'll do is I'll show you cutting the rings off of each one at different stages and then gluing them together as well, because I'd like to get them all finished up on this video, because a second video of doing one of these will look the same as the first. So my plan is to try to get them all done. So I'll go over my ring cutting jig again in case you haven't seen it. And I came up with this idea, I don't know, quite a few years ago. So I have a little slot in here, micro parting tool, and then I put a popsicle stick in there. I line it up on that line where I want to cut. I have a series of little templates that I've made. That's 45 on one end, and I think it's 60 on the other, and then I have a 50 and a 55. So I'm going to do 45 on this bowl. The other ones, I'm going to vary the angle that I cut. So that's all set up. I'm going to go ahead and cut some rings, and hopefully they all stay together. I think they are in there pretty good. I don't like to go much more than 600 RPM. It's because the tool will start getting really hot. Alright, we're about 610. Let's go ahead and cut. And I think it's through. Yep. Alright. I got this here to catch the ring, because if it starts flopping around, the bigger ones can come down and hit the bed and break them. So I'll take this apart, we'll do another ring. So at this point, I got it in my mind that why am I even going to finish the 2 other ones, because everything will look exactly the same. So thinking about that, I've decided I think I will finish them, or at least I'm going to try to finish them. And there's no reason to make you watch identical cuts on the things I'm making, because it literally will look exactly the same. So that's my plan. I hope I can get them finished. You want to stick around to the end, because right now I'm not sure if I will or not. I don't think I could have got it much closer and still slip it over that tenon. So that's good. That worked good. Let's go ahead and get the other 2 cut. So I'm cutting the 2 other blanks that I wasn't really happy with how they looked when I glued them up, but I don't like giving up, and this is something to show you that maybe you don't like it right now, but if you finish it, it just might look okay. So let's hope that it does. So I'm going to show you the glue up on this one. This is the one that I was pretty confident that was going to look decent, and I'll go ahead and glue the other ones up, and I'll go ahead and turn them, I think, but we'll see how the glue up goes. But it will look exactly the same as this with a different pattern on the wood. So stick around to the end, and we'll both see how they look, because I still don't know. So I really am excited to see how this turns out once I get them on the lathe. But the reason is I already have designed a cutting fixture to make this much, much easier. And we should not even need to use any of the veneer in between the glue joints. At least that's my plan. Okay, so I'll see you over at the lathe. Alright, I got it in the lathe. This was the easier glue up, and it'll be easier turning as well because the angle's the same. I used 45 on everything here. All I have to really do is clean that up. Same thing with the outside. So this should go quick. I could probably put the more complex one in and turn it after we take care of this one. 1/2 inch bowl gouge, and not sure how fast we're turning quite yet. About 840. Okay, I can get this later. I want to get something here to stabilize this, and we'll turn the outside. So I have a lot of discs like this, and there's a center on it. I'll just put that in here. It will stabilize things and help with the harmonics that you get when the segmented bowl gets thin, especially. Alright, a little shape on this and clean that up, and we will be ready to do some sanding. Using 1/2 inch bowl gouge. Should be able to get back up to about 800. 818. Okay, I'll do a little bit of scraping here on the outside. Okay, I'm going to do some sanding, and I'll have to start with 80 grit because of how the veneer worked out up on this end. I'm not real happy with that. Do some sanding. Okay, time for the first coat of sprayed on lacquer. Alright, time to remove the tenon, and this is hot glue on here. And I like to use denatured alcohol, and I like to get it down there. If I have some bare wood on the tenon, get some on there and let it wick its way in and underneath the glue, the hot glue. And I'll let that sit for 10 to 20 minutes. All depends which stick of hot glue I use. Some takes a lot longer to do this. Alright, we'll let that sit for a while. I'll come back and see if we can just pop it loose. Let's go ahead and give this a test. It's been 10 minutes. And I'll just take my pocket knife and get it in between. Now, see that? This is one of the other two that I glued up, and the turning will look exactly the same, but it is different because I used different angles on the cut. Instead of all 45-degree cuts, I started with a 50, I went with a 45, and then I went with a 50. This will give a slight curve to the walls. And I'm not sure what I did on the other one. I'll have to look at it again. I can tell you that at the end. But I have a feeling that this is going to end up looking pretty good, and I wish I would have turned this one at the beginning, but I think it's going to be well worth seeing it at the end. So here's a little bit of turning on the back side, but I'm not going to show you the sanding, but I will show you a little bit of a teaser of how this one turned out. So it won't be long and you'll get to see all three of them. Alright, they're all done, and I've got three of them, so I'm going to show them to you now. I'll put them on the turntable and I'll describe the types of wood and the size. So here's one of them. That was my original idea, and things were not going quite the way I was hoping, so I changed my plans before I even finished this one. That's what this looks like. And I actually didn't think the other two were going to look nearly as good as I think they do. So that's one of them. Not too bad. There's the outside. And the third one, well, I think that looks not too bad either. They all have different angles, so I'll tell you about that once I get them on the turntable. But while I have them both here, which of these two, if you can see them, which of these two do you like the best? This one or this one? Or maybe that one. Let me know in the comments what you think. I still have not decided if I like this one better than this one. Get my fingers out of the way and you can see it better. Alright, I'm going to go get them on the turntable, and I'll be right back. This one's made from maple and padauk, and it's 9 3/4 inches in diameter. It stands 3.5 inches tall. I cut all the angles on this one at 45 degrees. I finished it with multiple coats of sprayed on lacquer. This one here is made from padauk, maple, and walnut. It's 9 3/4 in diameter and 2 7/8 tall. I used a 45 degree, a 50 degree, and a 45 degree cut to make the sides look a little bit curved. Even though this was not my original idea, I'm very happy with how it turned out. This one also is padauk, maple, and walnut, but it's 9 1/4 inches in diameter and 3 1/8 inch tall. I cut the angles 50, 50, and 45 degrees on this one, and it also has sprayed on lacquer. So this took quite a while to get done. We've had a lot going on around here, but if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment. Let me know which one of these three that you like the best, And also, you could give it a thumbs up, and if you can share the video around, that would be fantastic. If you're not subscribed, I'd sure appreciate you doing that. And many thanks to my current subscribers. So, till the next time, see you later.